little singing bowl here. It's echoing. There we go. There we go. All right.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you today?
Tracy.
So good to see you, Marisol. It's been forever.
I know. It's been so long. And I
Frank.
was telling Frank about it. I've known you for a while now.
I know, yeah. How long? Definitely since before COVID, right?
Yeah, like way before COVID.
Oh, that's
At
right. Because
least.
we met through Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a while ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
we became closer during COVID, and I don't know if you know Frank, but Marisol was a big part of the beginning, the genesis of Hydrate. So she was there during the genesis, and yeah, one of the believers. Who's going to believe that talking about water could become so successful? But she
It's
knew.
so
She
it's
believed, she
yeah,
believed
for
in the
sure.
message.
For sure. She was actually I told her I was like, dude, I just kind of want to start one just to do it, just to see if I can do it. And she was like, I used to do this. I was like, well, what are we doing? So
Yeah,
we
exactly.
started.
I know. I'm so proud of you guys. This is amazing. I'm
Thank
excited I
you.
get to be on your podcast.
We're
Yeah. And
excited.
I know. I'm so excited to have you. We've been trying for a little bit, and you're such a traveler. You're always out and about spreading the hydrate message, which I am so excited about because I remember the first time you're like, I want to do a podcast. I don't know what I want to do it on. And you're like, we were talking about all the different things, and then I was like, oh my gosh, dude, you have to do it on water because every time you talked about it, it just blew my mind, and it still blows my mind because I feel like when you first started and now there's so much more that you've found and so many people that you've connected with and companies, and it's actually like a huge deal. And you
Yeah,
made me a water snob, a huge water snob, because now I'm like, no, please don't give me your purified water, ew.
right. You can't go to a restaurant and drink the water they put in the cup for you anymore. You're like, where did this come from? What's in it?
Yeah, no tap water, please. No. You know what's in it?
Do you know what's in this? Let
Yeah,
me educate you.
yeah, yeah. So,
What are your thoughts on shungite, like the shungite stones?
I think shungite's really cool. I think that it can definitely cleanse the water energetically, and they say like chemically too. I've used it before. I've put it in my water, I've put it around my water, but I haven't tested it. I would love, we're going to be building an aquaphotomics lab here in San Diego. It's actually getting built now. Um, going to be starting. So I'll test the frequencies of it, like how it changes it and everything, and we can see because it's always easy to hear things and like make an assumption of what it can do, but I would really like to actually see what it does. But yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
theoretically, it's supposed to be really good for the water.
wait, Aqua Photonics Labs. What are you guys going to do there? What is this about?
So, aquaphotomics studies how light impacts water, and
Mm-hmm.
Rumiana Senkova, the one that coined that term aquaphotomics and developed that new science of water, she says that frequency determines the structure of water. So she developed this algorithm where you can look at it, it looks kind of like a water map where you look at all these frequencies and how they come together, and you can see, does this water look coherent or is this water incoherent, dissonant, lacking a really coherent structure to it. And so through the algorithm of the frequencies, you can really determine what the
Wait,
water
Tracy,
is.
this is blowing my mind. Okay, so eventually, are you going to be able to read the frequencies of a human body and how it's what it's vibrating at that time, since it's so close
Oh
to
yeah,
water?
we already, yeah, she can already do that. So I flew to Japan in March, to go to her lab, and she took us around different parts of Japan. We visited different water bodies, different like springs, and we she tested us with a Vis near infrared spectra device. And so you can put it on your body for a minute, and it'll test your water body and see, like, it comes up with these different frequencies showing, and then she puts it into her algorithm to figure out. So she could determine my age, different biological markers, just
Wow.
from that. It's really cool.
That is so amazing. Can she see like diseases and stuff too, or is it just based on like frequency of what you're?
Um, I mean, I don't want to say you can det- you can determine that, and we will be able to determine it, but I think there has to be more studies of like more people in the database to be able to see, okay, when there's cancer cells present here, this is what this algorithm looks like. I think that there's more testing to be done, and more we need more data. But yeah, I absolutely, you'll be able to see a lot of things about a disease state or healthy water body.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people don't know, or I mean, maybe more people are starting to figure it out, but you can program your water. And that's something that I
Hmm.
learned from you, right? Like
Hmm.
you could put water carries memory. So like if you pray into it, then it's set intentions into your body to heal it and stuff. There's different things that you can do with water, and a lot of people don't know that. So I mean that's crazy. That's amazing. You guys are going to be doing some great things.
Yeah, I'm
Are you
really
still doing? Are you still treating water the same way, or did you like add more steps to it since I've last seen you?
No, it's still the same. I mean, I try to follow nature, filtering, mineralizing, vortexing. Sometimes I'll do different things like in the morning, put the water in the sun to get that light. Because now that I'm learning about aquaphotomics, learning how the light impacts the water. I mean, we always knew that. That's why we'll use like an infopathy or something like that to really imprint frequencies into the water. But then Dr. Sankova, Professor Sankova, helped me understand, just the natural like cycles of the sun and the moon are impacting our circadian rhythm and the things that we need. And so if we just put the water into the sunlight or the moon or the sun setting, it's going to imprint the water with the frequencies that I need for that time of day.
Okay, so when I do put the moon water out with intention, it's actually doing something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
So
interesting. Yeah,
it's
before
pretty
we,
exciting.
before, oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry. Before we stray off the aquaphotomics, I wanted to know, like, so it immediately it triggered in me, like, have you ever heard of transmorphic resonance?
Transmorphic resonance.
Yeah. Have you
Transmorphic
ever heard of
resonance.
that?
I don't think so.
That's like, so like they had it where they had rats on the West Coast and rats on the East Coast running the same exact maze. And once one figured out how to do it on the West Coast, all of a sudden all the ones on the East Coast figured out how to do it as well. And so, like, we talk about water and it be like running through a stream, it's living water, you know what I mean? And so, through the living water, it's almost like if you think of it as like consciousness, um, I wonder, since water does retain memory and in the living sense, if consciously, like if you have the same type of lab on another side, if you could mimic like this frequency here and it resonates at this one the same way through transmorphic resonance.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that is totally possible. I mean, I just had a sound healing session last week, and my sound healer was in London,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just doing the tuning forks, and he could tell me which part of my body was dissonant and which part was coherent by testing it. He does holosonic sound, and I was literally having this like pain in my heart, like it felt wound up. And I didn't say anything to him of what was going on. I just said I need a session, and then he was like, "Yeah, there was like um, some like twisting or contortion in this energetic space. And I was like, how did you know that? You know, it's just it's like it was dissonant when he was testing it. And so yeah, you can definitely impact. I mean, that's quantum entanglement and understanding all those things. Like we still have so much to uncover and learn, right? But we know that it's real and we know that it works. It's just learning more about the how.
Absolutely. So we kind of got off on a different foot, but for those that don't know who you are, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and like what you're up to now and what's going on?
Well, who I am, oh gosh, that's an interesting question. You know, sometimes we think about when someone says, "Who are you?" It's like, "What am I?" or "What do I do?" You know, because there's difference between my being and my doing. Well,
How
I mean,
would you like to describe yourself to those who have never met you before? How's that?
well, I'm a mom of two teenage girls. I love to learn. Like since I was a little kid, I've been experimenting with things. Like as a child, instead of playing with dolls, like I could not figure out the idea of dolls, like Barbies and stuff. I'm like, why am I doing this like fantasy world? You know, I would take my mom's like spices and herbs and like put things together in the backyard in the dirt and be like trying to do these like weird experiments. And my whole life I've been that way. So now I have the kitchen and I love like all the different herbs and tonics and extracts and tinctures, and I make my own tinctures, I make my own homeopathic medicine, and just I don't know, like you got to see my pantry. It's got all these different things in it. And so people come over and I can just feel their energy, like, oh, this person feels a little anxious or angry or happy or sad or tired, and I'll make them a special elixir to kind of help bring them into balance. And people would always ask me, they're like, how do you make these things? We need to know the recipes. So I started, you know, helping figure out like, okay, let me write them down. And then it evolved into a book of recipes and lifestyle tips on how to hydrate and how to live a more optimized lifestyle. So that just came out. So now I guess I would say I'm an author, but more I just like to play, learn as you play and you do creative play, you learn. And then people that love to learn naturally love to educate because it's like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting what I just discovered, and everyone needs to know about it, right? So you're just naturally excited about that. So I'd say that's more my natural being is learning and educating.
I
She
love it.
makes she makes the best elixirs.
Yeah.
The matcha, the what was the other the cacao one? Oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
best. So like yeah,
Well,
I definitely
yeah, you
I
would
was gonna
come
say I
over and we'd
recommend
have
your
some
book.
elixirs. Yeah, we put like different herbs in them, adaptogens, and oh, so much fun.
So much fun. And so your book now does it have elixirs and then it also has like your other recipes, right? Like your bliss balls and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, so it has food recipes and it goes through my nine pillars of health. So the pillars that I discovered after having a functional medicine wellness spa for 17 years, what I discovered that my patients were collectively what brought them to their highest vibrational self, what brought them their most optimal health state. And so I kind of like collaborated in my mind with all of these things and put it together into a book of these nine pillars of health. And what I discovered is that when people are mineralized well, they have the proper nutrition, they have the proper hydration, they're sleeping well, they're in connected community, they're moving, they're playing. Like people need to play. Actually, I call it creative playtime. When they have these things, they're getting sunlight, they're taking their shoes off, and they're grounding. When they are regularly doing these things, my patients were thriving. Our whole clinic, people came alive. But if they were missing one of these pillars and instead supplementing it with, okay, let me take a bunch of pills or medication or whatever they're doing, they still weren't thriving. Like, there is no panacea. There's no one pill you can take to make yourself fully healthy. It's a collective of things that we do throughout the day and a lifestyle that we live that really makes a difference and impact in how healthy and vibrant we are. When I say vibrant, you think about that word like vibration, the frequencies, and these frequencies are determining the structure of our cells. And if our cells have an incoherent, dissonant structure to them, they're going to become diseased. Thomas Cowan, in his book about cancer, he talks about what he believes is that this coherent structure that's within the cells, as it becomes exposed to toxins, negative thoughts, emotions, non-native electromagnetic frequencies, lack of charge from the earth, lack of sunlight, these cells become more liquefied, is what he says, and they lack their structure. And I think, in my opinion, from learning more about aquaphotomics, I think everything has structure, so it's going to have a structure, but it's determining whether the structure is coherent or incoherent. And so if it's an incoherent, more liquefied, less geometric, coherent structure, our cells are going to have trouble talking to each other. They're going to lack cellular communication, and then that's when you get rogue cells that they're going to become diseased. They're not going to know when to go into apoptosis. They don't want to know when to die off. They start to proliferate, and we get sick. So it's really important that we think about being in this high vibrational state and having these coherent frequencies in our cells and the water we're drinking, the water body that we are. And so the 9 pillars is what, in my opinion, I feel like, well, not just my opinion, what I saw, what I witnessed from the thousands of patients that came in and out of our clinic. These were the things that brought them more vitality.
And what's crazy to me is like it's in a sense so simple, but we've been taught to stray away from that so much. And everything that we do on a daily basis pushes us further and further away from those pillars, you know, like being stressed and like working and like just eating fast food and not drinking proper water and not having any community or connection because we're so busy like hustling and bustling and stuff. So when you presented that to me, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so simple, but why is it so hard to learn and to implement on a daily, like day-to-day basis? It's really not that easy. You know, it's like almost you need the accountability to do that.
Well, I think that you have a good point, and I think the reason why it's difficult is because we're being marketed to that there's something else, something outside of us, something outside of what's already been given, something outside of nature, something outside of what God has already provided to us that we need. You know, it's that sense of lack, that lack mindset. I don't have enough. I don't have what I need. I need to go buy this. I need to go buy that. I need to go to this doctor and get this crazy treatment done. I need to go have this laser. I need to go get this pill or whatever it is. And those things are nice. I'm not knocking them. I mean, if you come to my house, you're going to see like I have all the toys and gadgets and supplements and all these things. Those are fun to add into an already healthy, high vibrational body. But those are not what are going to make you on their own healthy if you're not doing these 9 pillars of health that's already been given to us. They're free in nature and free and abundant in nature already. And so I think, like, you know, there's a lot of marketing because there's money behind selling me this or that or selling you something. But just to tell you to go take your shoes off and walk out on the ground and get some full spectrum sunlight and take a deep breath and eye gaze, look someone in the eyes, like there's no money to be really made in that because it's all free. So it's not being
Yeah.
marketed to us as heavily.
Yeah. and they'll say like, oh no, that's just like esoteric, or it's just something, it's woo woo. But it's like, no, that's like, we are nature, we're a part of it, we're supposed to be intertwined with it, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember that one story you told me about our friend Kristen, and you said that, she was going through her cancer treatments, and you were like, no, I'm going to take you out of the hospital. We're going to go walk outside. You can get barefoot. And like, you helped her, through the whole process of it, because like, that's how it is in a hospital. You go in, you're being treated for a disease or an illness, and they keep you under the blue lights, like in pumping you with all kinds of medications, and like, who knows what kind of food they're feeding you and stuff. And she was telling me just the simple fact of you going in and taking her out of the room and taking her out into the grass and like being barefoot on the grass helped her so much. And it's just like so simple, but it's like, why aren't
Yeah.
they doing that already?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
she was
crazy.
like on her deathbed there, and I was like, I'm breaking you out of jail here. And I put her in a wheelchair and pushed her outside. And, you know, I think she wanted to go, but I think she was probably a little bit hesitant too. But I was like, we're getting out of here. And so, yeah, we just went outside and she sat on the grass and got some sunlight. And, we started dancing, we turned on some music, and she started to like come back to life. It was like she was almost like lifeless in that bed, and then she started to come back to life, and her spirits were coming alive again. And God, man, when I think about it, my heart breaks for so many people that are just feeling depressed and disconnected and sad and lifeless and lacking vitality, and they don't know what to do. They feel trapped in their body, they feel helpless, and all the answers are already given to them. Like everything they need is already free and abundant in nature and in life, but we have been told a different story. We've been told that we need something else in order to be healthy, and so it's like we're seeking that, maybe even on social media all day, having these connections that maybe aren't even like, it's not a real in-person flesh to flesh connection, and we feel like we're connected but we're really so disconnected. So yeah, and that, I mean, that's why I wrote the book. It's like, okay, there's no money to be made in telling people. I actually paid money to write this book, but I felt like it was necessary. It's like, if I know this information and I don't share it, then I don't want to go to heaven and have God looking at me and saying like, what'd you do with the gifts that I gave you? Why didn't you share this information? Because it changed my life, and I've watched people's lives be changed, and there's nothing that makes me happier than seeing people come alive again with, just like you said, Marisol, these simple foundations that everybody is going to benefit from.
Yeah. Even though you've done all the research, you've proven over time and time and time and time again that, what you're saying is like, it's backed up by research and your own, yourself and your daughter and like all these, like, people that have come in and out of your clinic and stuff. But yeah, it's just like, I was like, you know what? The one thing I'm going to make sure that everybody knows is that Tracy has actually done the time and the research. She's put everything into this, like literally everything, blood, sweat, and tears, and time, like everything into this book, into getting this message out to people. Because I mean, yeah, you have, and like, I really appreciate it. And even everything that you've taught me, and like, I've put it onto my kids and stuff too, and they're like, really careful about water and what they kind of water they drink, and we're there with you on all of that.
That makes me so
But
happy when I hear people are sharing this information with their kids, because kids are very kids and animals are the best test cases, because they're not really, they're more in tune, with their
mhm.
bodies, and to see children that are taught these basics foundations for health, that they're going to be able to take that and then teach their kids, and we keep sharing this information. It's almost like forgotten. It's stuff that's always been there and that's known, and you read about it in ancient texts, you see it in the like even in ancient Egypt, it's etched in stone on the walls, and like tuning forks are etched in these hieroglyphic images. So sound healing has been around forever. I mean, we know this, and we know that all matter starts with sound and frequencies, and that's its genesis. Even in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, it says that God spoke. That was the first thing. God spoke and separated the light from the darkness. And where did that happen? Came from the frequencies, the sound of our creator. And it's like it's always been, but we get taken away from the message, from the truth. We get distracted and then get into that mindset that we need something more, something different in order to be happy. I need to have this fast car. I need to have this perfect face. I need to have this perfect body. I need to have this perfect house. Whatever. I don't know. We get fed these messages that's what's going to make us happy, and it makes us more unhappy the more that we're seeking something outside of ourselves than what's already been given.
What are your thoughts on like when I don't know, it's kind of off topic, but like, have you ever looked at the stars through like a high power telescope or seen a
Yes,
video of it and how they look?
I
And it
have.
looks like you're looking at something underwater, right?
Yeah.
So you have that, and then you have like, I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but they took a submarine down to the bottom of the ocean and they were bouncing off of it. It was like a undersea lake, and there were things that were living that were down there, but it was almost like is it H3 that they say living water is? It's like hydrogen 3, right? Instead of H2O, or is it
Yeah.
H3O3?
H3O2.
H3O2. So
Yeah.
he was talking about how they bounce off of it, and so like it it's kind of funny, but when I was watching and listening to that, it made me think of SpongeBob and Sandy living in the bubble within the water. You know what I mean? Like if we're all trapped in the bubble.
I've never watched
Huh?
SpongeBob. I've never
Oh
watched.
man. It's this she's like the squirrel
I
that
feel
lives
embarrassed to
underwater.
say that because I've never watched
You're good.
SpongeBob.
I have little kids, so I watch all those shows. But yeah, she's a squirrel that lives underwater, and it's almost like when you look at things like that, and then I think of like hermetic principles, and it's like as above, so below, and you have the
Yeah.
representation of the guy at the bottom of the sea bouncing off the same thing that potentially we could be viewing through the the atmosphere or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It like I said, as um, juvenile as it sounded, it really resonated in that moment. I
No,
don't know
I
what the
like
importance of
that.
that was, but
I love that. Um, and you're right. As above, so below is just such a important thing to remember because I mean, I think about like the other day my skin was breaking out so bad, and I was like, what the heck? I mean, like I'm not even a teenager anymore. What happened? Like my skin does not break out like this. And so you always need to think about like it's not just putting a cream on it that's going to make it better. Like you said, as above, so below. So what's happening in the root system? What's happening in my body? What is going on that it's showing up in my skin? People that have
exactly.
rashes, people that have rosacea, they have psoriasis, eczema, whatever it is, some skin inflammation. We got, instead of putting a cream on it, well, that can help, but we want to think about where
That's
is this
me.
coming from? What's the origin? What's the
Rosacea,
root? Oh,
gut
you have that?
problems.
See, yeah. As
Yeah,
above, so
rosacea.
below.
As
So,
within, so without.
yes, exactly. So I started thinking, I was like, what am I doing different that I wasn't doing before? I'm like, am I more stressed? No. Am I eating something different? No. And then I realized I had gotten sent this package. I get a lot of little gifts in the mail, and usually I've been really good about like I'll read it and make sure what it is before I put it in my body. I'm not going to just take it because someone gifted it to me. But this time, I don't know what I was thinking. I had been using this like Vegamore like hair serum to make my hair thicker, and then they were like, "Oh, you have enough points. We're going to give you a free like gummy." And it's supposed to make your hair grow, right? And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So it came and I was just taking them. They tasted really good. And I was like, whatever. I just took them. I don't know why I did that because I usually read it. But my face looked like a bomb exploded on it like days later after taking it. And I didn't even think, like I didn't put two and two together. I was like, wait, why is my skin breaking out? And then I looked at the back of the label of this and I was like, oh my gosh, like the ingredients in here are so they're not in a like healthy form that my body likes,
Yeah, they're
like
caustic to your system.
yeah. And there's also too much of certain things like biotin can really make your skin break out, or if you're getting too much B12 or in the wrong form, or folate versus folic acid. I'm not a great methylator, my MTHFR, like I have some breaks in there, so I
Don't
have
most
trouble
people have that
breastfeeding.
mutation too?
A lot of people do. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
I was getting
I got a
more
question.
anxious.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, but
As a
I was getting more
doctor,
anxious. My skin was
yeah,
breaking out. Like my kids would be coming home from school and they're like, "Mommy, we need to talk about this, that." And my nervous system was like a little bit overwhelmed.
Like overstimulated. Yeah.
Yeah, I was overstimulated. And this happens actually to a lot of women who get pregnant. They get on prenatals and their husbands think that they've gone crazy because they're pregnant. And that is not why they're going crazy. It's because of the B vitamins and other things that are in the prenatals, but specifically the B vitamins. If they're not a good methylator of these B vitamins, their nervous system can go into overdrive and they won't be like just kind of freaking out.
And
And
they think they're doing what's best.
yeah, so it's just lack of like the right information, right? So it's like a facet of the truth. Yes, we need this nutrition in our bodies and it's great to add it, but that's a facet of the truth. What's another part of the truth? Another part of the truth is, well, what form is this vitamin coming in? Is it something that my body knows how to break down and fully methylate? And if it doesn't, then what's going to happen? So there's different aspects to it, just like with water, drinking water. Yes, a facet of the truth is that water is important and we need water, but another part of the truth is like, well, what kind of water are we drinking? How much water? What do we put in the water? How do we treat the water? There's just so many little details that we have yet to uncover and learn.
what about salting the water too? Because I was hearing like if you're like, say you're super dehydrated and you go to drink a lot of water, well, your body's salinity is already here. So the more fresh water you're adding, you're almost desalinating your body at the same time. So like I have a buddy that was like, dude, just try it. He uses like it's a red salt. He told me pink Himalayan salt is cool too. You just got to know where you get it because they mine a lot of it with explosives, and so you could get trace amounts of that in your salt. But he said that you basically are trying to. It doesn't have to be salty water, but you're basically just making it so that it's more readily available to your body when you're taking it. Just like as if you would drink a Gatorade to replenish your electrolytes and those different potassium salts and things like that to your system.
Yes, that is such a good point that you brought up, Frank, because the liquid in our body is not distilled. It's not like this filtered um, liquid that doesn't have minerals in it. It does have salinity to it. It has minerals. It has the plasma in our blood is identical to what the plasma is of the ocean. Those 78 trace elements and the perfect proportion that they're in is the way that our blood plasma looks. And that's why they say we evolved from the ocean. Even in the Bible, the ocean, definition between dry land and the ocean came before we as humans were created. So our blood plasma is identical to the ocean's blood plasma. So when we are drinking filtered water or distilled water, our body has to do a lot of work to bring that water into coherence, to structure the water properly, to bring minerals into the water so that it has that perfect balance so that it can get into our cells. So you're very, very right about that. And that's why we want to drink water that has proper mineral balance to it, that's living water. That this is something that makes our body not have to work as hard, doesn't take as much energy to structure that water into a coherent state. But there's things with the salt too, because you can add too much salt. And then, like if you want to just do a flush in your body, you can add, the more salt you add, you're going to be doing, it's almost like a salt flush. If you want to have an elimination, a good bowel movement in the morning, you can do a higher level of sodium in the water and have a nice flush. But if you get that water balance perfect, or the salinity of the water perfect, it's going to be, yes, very hydrating. It's an electrolyte. An electrolyte is minerals in a liquid solution. So it's going to be an electrolyte for your body. But we want to have working water where these hydrogen bonds are broken up and we have this great working water. And if we put too many minerals in the water, it can kind of slow that process down. And so we want to make sure we don't add too much mineral to the water. So it's a fine balance. And also with the Himalayan salt, a lot of times it's pink for many reasons, but iron oxides in the water too, so, or in the salt. So we want to be careful about where we're sourcing our salts from. Definitely get a COA on the salt and figure out what's in it, because there can be contamination in it, heavy metals. I have a good source. I can give you guys the link for a salt that I really like, that I put in my water in the morning. It tastes so delicious. It helps hydrate my body. I make like I call it God's Gatorade out of it. I'll use some spring water, some lemon, a little bit of manuka honey, and then the salt, and mix it up together and make a Gatorade for my kids or when I go to the gym. It's really nice.
Nice. Sounds good.
So, for the people that don't know, can you break down the difference between living water and dead water?
Well, the way I personally define it is living water is something that's sending your message, these frequencies that are coherent and that resonate with your body's biology, of your living state. And then a water that I would call, I don't like to call dead water, but water that's not coherent, more incoherent. So the difference between those would be the frequencies in the water that are determining the structure of that water. And what determines the frequencies? Well, many different things determine the frequencies. But what's in the water, the chemicals in the water, the chemistry in the water, the minerals in the water, uh, how the water has been vortexed, the way that it moves, what it's been exposed to, the light that it's been exposed to, the energy it's been exposed to. So that's why at home I take my tap water, I filter the water, but as it's going through those membranes, it's taking on that structure of those membranes, and it's also eliminating the caustic toxic chemistry, but also any good minerals that are in it. So now it doesn't have a coherent structure to it. So we want to build the water back up and bring it back into a more coherent state. So I like to add a balanced set of minerals back into the water and then vortex the water, just spin it so that it, and the vortexer that I use brings it to a negatively charged state. And we want more of that negative charge in our body. It's really, our bodies are like, we're like a battery. We need to be charged up. And so if we
It's
can
almost
have a
like
negatively,
beeswax candles. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sorry
Those little
about
only
that.
people that
Like
grow.
how when you burn the beeswax, it lets off the negative particles and they collect the positive and fall to the ground, and you could vacuum that up rather than like the
Look at this
paraffin
guy. He
wax
knows so much.
releasing more positive ions into the air, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I
Beeswax
I
can
know
do that
so much
for
weird, senseless stuff. I don't know where I learned it, but and I also wanted to say it's so wild. My ADHD is all over the place, but we're talking about as above, so below, and the hermetic laws, and then you brought up the Bible, and it's like, and then we were before we were even talking about that, we were talking about the difference in like the water in the universe and the water under the ocean, and I remembered in Genesis, it's like Genesis 1:7. God made the firmament and they divided the waters which were under the firmament and from which were the waters above the firmament. As above,
Mm,
so below, and everything we just talked about. So
yes. Oh my gosh, I
wild. I was just
love
like,
this.
wait, I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
No, but the
Oh,
more I
also, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I want to hear what you have to say.
Um, so another thing too is like I follow a lot of like Dr. Joe Dispenza and a lot of like heart mind coherence, and so you look into like, well, you you have to eventually believe that your body can heal itself because otherwise, you know the placebo effect wouldn't work. You're believing that the medication's healing you, when in all actuality, it's your body healing itself because you're believing
Mhm.
that you're being healed. And so it's kind of I I wonder those kinds of things because it's like, dude, why can't I do that to my water then? Why can't I do that to my food? Why, you know what I mean? If it's all just a change of mind and it's a change of mind state, then inherently I have the power to do so. I mean, people have been healed of Parkinson's disease at his conferences where they've gone and done the whole Heart Math Institute and then came back and Parkinson's is gone.
Yeah, and you're on a good thread right there of where you're going with your thought because you're right. If we have that much power over the intention to change water or to change our food, then think about our bodies. If our bodies are 99% water molecules, then wouldn't that mean that it's like it's this our body's a crystalline structure that's sending and receiving information all the time, and so if this like antenna of our brain or our mind, really our thoughts that are coming from the ethers, and our brain is amplifying these thoughts into our body of water, then what what type of structure is our water body becoming based on our thoughts, based on our emotions? We have a lot of, I don't like the word power, but a lot of influence over all of that. I spent a lot of time when I was younger in elderly homes and convalescent homes. My dad's a pastor, and so we'd go take time, bring cookies to them, sing with them, play with them, things like that. And I remember just thinking about how aging looks so difficult. It's like to be breaking down in this entropic state like that, and then I would notice the people that just look like lifeless. And a lot of time, their attitude and their energy really mirrored that. And then the people that were vibrant and had a lot of like energy and vitality, they usually had a really good spirit about them. Like their perspective of life was different. Like telling jokes, they're like so excited that we're there and want to connect and be in this community. And the people that were breaking down, a lot of them were caught in the past. Like, well, I was happy when I would hear the stories about like when they were with their wife that died, those were the good days. And, um, they would be able to do things except they're in this wheelchair and they're not feeling good. And then it's just like these thoughts are breaking them down even more. Yes, this is true. Yes, this is an unfortunate, the state that they're in. Also, their thoughts can keep amplifying that state in their body. And that's why the Bible does talk about like praise, praising our creator, gratitude. It says this more than anything, I think, in the Bible talks about praising God. And I really believe that that's because that's our superpower. It's the greatest weapon that we have against breaking down and against the enemy and against the forces of evil and darkness. Whenever I'm in a state where I feel entropic, like my body's breaking down or my mind is going into a negative spiral, I bring it back into a centropic state by singing praises to God and remembering all of the good things that there are in my life. Because no matter how bad it can feel at times, there's always something to be grateful for, many things to be grateful for. And as I put my mind and my thoughts back into that state, my body starts to come alive again. I feel my body come back online. I feel that energy again that I was lacking when I wasn't in that mindset.
It makes me think of that book too. The body keeps the score. Have you ever heard of that book?
Oh, I love that
Basically,
book.
how your body how your body stores emotion, and how you don't have to say anything. You can tell by the way that the person carries themselves what their body is storing. And so when I look at those things, and you can see people, like you said, in different categories of, say, like super energetic and fun loving, and then you have those that are not, and they're bitter or caught in the past. I feel like a lot of it comes down to unresolved trauma as well. And it's like you pass on all the trauma that is unresolved. So it's like you have to
Yeah,
work through.
it's like contagious almost, because that's
Exactly.
what they're like consistently bringing up and like carrying around and vibrating. So it's like, you know,
And then you're like in
yeah.
a prison within a prison, because you're in a mental prison within a freaking structural prison that you feel is a prison. You know what I mean? Because you're trapped within these walls and you can't do what you want to do.
Yeah,
Kind of
100%.
wild. What are your thoughts on like the water situation here in the United States? Do you really feel that we are coming to a lack of such? I feel like there's quite an abundance of such. Like the earth is nothing but good to us, and God is good to us too. And so I don't feel that. Um, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that you can bleed the resource dry completely.
Well, the fact that there's less water is absolutely false and absurd, because from the moment that the world was created till now, there's exactly the same amount of water. Water keeps recycling itself, although the location of the water and the concentration of where the water is at is changing. But it doesn't mean we are in a lack of water. It's just like where the water is now. So there's more concentration. I can control where the water is and where it isn't. And I don't know, you can get into all these conspiracy things about how it's being controlled and it's getting dried out in certain areas so that they can control us. And that could be true. I don't know. I don't, I'm not involved in those inner workings. But what I do know is that fear
La, 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 la,
never
la, la,
produces the
la.
results we desire. So sitting around being afraid about it isn't going to make it better. But making smart choices is what can help. So doing our part. Yeah, just don't think we need to be afraid. Did something happen to Frank?
I think I was like, he said he was frozen. I was like, well, come back.
He has a lot of good questions.
Yeah, he's really super interested, and like he was like, wow, this is crazy what she's doing. And I'm like, it's just like a 1%, because I always feel like you're doing so much more than what we can see. Like it's almost impossible to see everything that you're doing all the time. Like I had no idea that you were doing all that in Japan and stuff. That's so cool. That is
Yeah,
so cool and exciting.
very exciting. I feel just so grateful, like, to be able to do this work. It's so much fun, and it's really good to connect with you too. It's been so long. It's like we get so caught up in our lives, and I know being moms, it's makes it even more rewarding and more difficult. I would say it's like the most rewarding job I could ever have on the planet, but it's also, it has provides some very large challenges too that we get to do, and I'm grateful for
Yeah.
it.
I love
But yeah,
that when people say we get to do, because it reminds me, because sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to, but it's like, no,
yeah,
we get to.
it's
And
all mindset, right?
how are your daughters? How's Grace? She's doing some more stuff with like the community and stuff.
Oh yeah, that girl, like, I can't
Yeah.
even keep track of her. She's always doing community service. Right now, she works for the Humane Society. I mean, well, as community support, she just does a free contribution at the Humane Society, and doing a lot of, she has over 150 girls underneath her with the Alopecia Justice League. So she started a pen pal
Wow.
program where these girls that have alopecia can connect together and share their stories and just have somebody to support them. So she'll connect like a older, more like a teenage girl with a
A
younger girl. So
mentor.
she can mentor, yeah, exactly, mentor them. And so she's doing that. She has over 150 girls, and she does interviews twice a week to match people up. And I don't know, she's just doing so much. She's got a
Wow.
job. She works at Pizza Nova, and she's a senior now in college. She's a cheerleader. She's doing the theater program, and she's just busy. She's got so much going on. What about your kids? They're getting big too.
They are. Actually, we started a school out here because Bodhi's not vaccinated.
You
So
started a
I couldn't
school?
well, it's like a co-op with a bunch of moms. And so there's some moms that have like teaching backgrounds. And so we found a church to like let us use their classrooms, and we all send our kids, and like the moms will like do kind of like they'll do homeschooling but in groups for different
Hmm.
ages, and like it's just the way that we kind of got around the public school system out here and to be able to like
Wait,
teach our kids.
you guys have to be vaccinated over there?
Yeah. You can't,
You
like,
still
he has to be fully vaccinated. You have to, and like, even just the curriculum and stuff that they're teaching him is just like, it's just terrible. So we're like, what are we going to do? How do we get around this? So
yeah.
it's pretty much a co op, it has all the grades, goes all the way from kindergarten to high school. And we just, we have one mom that teaches preschool, one mom that teaches high school, kindergarten. And the kids don't have to be vaccinated to go there. It's kind of like a little loophole. Um,
That I didn't even know that they had to be now, but now I'm thinking about that. I guess my kids were exempt because of the medical issue. But
you can't even use an exemption anymore.
oh, well, somehow
It's
my
yeah,
kids are
like
still cool.
yeah. Well, I mean, your kids go to private school.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that might be
private.
why. That might be
Yeah,
why.
yeah,
But
but Grace
some
is going
private
to go to
schools still.
college, so we were trying to
Oh, I
figure out.
wonder
Does
if
she
in
have to
college
go?
you don't have to.
She said that it's by choice. Yeah, you get to choose.
Oh, that's cool. What college is she at?
Well, she's applying. So next year's when she's going to go. She wants to go to either USC, Chapman, or UCLA.
Oh, cool. She'll be
Yeah,
local
so she's trying
ish.
to figure that out.
That's exciting. Well, I think we lost Frank.
Yeah, but that was good. We got a good show, and my
Yeah.
computer's about to die right now anyway. So
Okay. Well, this I'm so thankful we finally got to do this.
yeah, thank you
Send
for
me the
having me.
links. Yes, send me all the links so that I can pin them, and like people can find your book, your podcast, your
Yeah.
Instagram, your website, your YouTube. What else are you doing?
I don't know. I guess we're on Pinterest now too, or something. I have somebody doing all that stuff, but I think
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
we're on some social media platforms. But Yeah, I will definitely send you over that stuff. And thank you for making time. I really
You too.
appreciate it.
I
Hopefully we
love you
can.
so much and I miss you. And
Me too.
yeah, let's get
You need to
together.
come visit. I know you're so far away and it's a long drive, but I would love to have you over if you want to come. Are you still dating that one guy? Was his name John? Are you guys dating or?
No, no,
Oh,
unfortunately, but yeah, that was fun.
yeah. Sometimes those things just like are there to teach us, or they're there. Sometimes it's good to have a guy for transition too.
Yeah, I mean, just learning a lot of like the different values, he helped me really like open up to like just more grounded values of a relationship because it's so different in Hawaii, as it is here. Like they really are like a community, a tribe. So it's like when you are in a relationship, it's like completely different than what we're used to here. It's like we're so
How is that?
women
How is it different?
women are so empowered out here and stuff. It was really humbling and grounding, very grounding.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's like the things that we think matter in a relationship really don't. It's more about like, like community and like just it's just more simple than I thought it was. So
What do you think was the thing that wasn't like resonant between you guys?
um
Sorry,
I
guys. I have a love-hate relationship with technology.
oh yeah, we were actually just wrapping it up.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah. Honestly, just I don't know. I don't know a lot, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's hard. Relationships are like so hard. I always think like when you bring two imperfect people together and you try to make a perfect relationship, that's impossible. That will never happen because we're both imperfect. And now
yeah,
we have this like it's exponential when you come together, but also you can take each other's like gifts, and if you learn how to balance it, then my weakness and your gift can come together and like fit like a puzzle, and it's like you're stronger. But
hmm.
finding that balance is like, it's
So, are you single right now too?
yeah, I mean, I've been single really since I got divorced. I mean, I had a boyfriend this last year, and
Yeah, I was like,
but
wait.
I broke up with him a couple months ago. But I mean, we're still, we talk and stuff, but it's hard. Like it's not easy. I don't know. I don't have the answers, clearly. If somebody has the answers, please share them. Would love to know.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot there was someone told me something. It was just pretty much just like keeping love simple, and it's like really hard to do. Especially nowadays with like social media and everything involved in it. It's like hard to keep it as something so simple and just let it be love.
I
Right.
hear a Mac Miller lyric where it's like, uh, "Until then, let's just keep watering the flowers. Let's grow." And I see in my head like two hands, like the guy's hand and the woman's hand, holding a thing, watering the flowers and growing together.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, we need more of that simplicity. I get brought back to that too because there's moments where you can get just so hurt about things, and then I can come back and I'm like, well, if you read the love passage in the Bible, it says love is not easily offended and love does not seek its own.
Mhm.
And that's very humbling to be reminded of that because it's like, oh, all the things that we think love is, or the memes or the reels that we see on Instagram, we're being fed so much bullshit, so much stuff that's not true. It's like, well,
Hmm.
does this make me feel good? Is this person good enough? Are they doing this or that for me? And when you come from that perspective, we are never going to find somebody, because the fact of the matter is, unless I show up for myself and love myself first and take care of myself, and then look how I can love that person, like that should be my job. How can I fill myself up
Yeah.
so that I'm overflowing and can love? And then that's that person's job too. And we're both doing that. I'm not in it to look at, oh, I'm in this relationship to see what I can get, because when we take that perspective, then it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to feel like enough. We're always going to be let down. We're going to have some sort of expectation that isn't going to get met and be
Insecurities.
upset and hurt and pissed off.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
like, doesn't work that way. So, but a lot of people haven't been taught that perspective of love. So the most of the guys that I meet, they're looking at me as like a list of like, well, what can she provide me? And I'm like, I'm looking at what I can provide them, and they're looking at what I can provide them, and this is really out of balance there. And I'm like, I just want to find somebody that has that same value system where they're like, how can I show up for you? How can I serve you? And that's all I'm thinking about with them too. And then you have, okay, now this can work. But we can't just be looking at what someone's going to give us.
And it's hard too when it's like long distance, you know, or it's like not in the same continent.
Oh, so hard. Yeah. I was long distance with my guy too. Well, he moved here in February, but yeah, we were long distance for like the rest of the time, and that's really hard. It's hard in a relationship. Your nervous system gets dysregulated.
It does.
Away. Yeah. But I mean, that's
I look
the world
at the same thing on. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Frank.
Same thing. Like, I was just gonna say, like pressures on men, like societal pressures on men, and you see things like I had a friend, and I was just like, dude, just go out and talk to 3 different girls a day. Try to get their numbers. It doesn't matter if you get them or not. Just go. Law of averages, you're going to get one. But if you don't, that's okay. You're breaking out of your shell. And I said, look at it this way. I said, look at how many freaking like 9s and 10s you see in there with a dude that's a 6. That's because that guy had the fucking balls to go and ask. Get off the dating apps. Get off the internet. Go out somewhere and walk up to the most beautiful girl in the place and just say, hey, are you single? Can I get your number? Not right out the gates, but be like, hey, I'm Frank. How are you? How's your day today? What do you like to do? Like, you know what I mean? It's a game changer because they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, facts, Frank. It's so true. And women appreciate it too. Even if there isn't resonance or I'm not like interested in the guy, I always appreciate that he took the time.
You still feel a little better after, right? You're like, well, that was nice.
Yeah, it gives you hope in humanity again. It gives you hope that there's men out there with some actual balls, you know? Because most of the time you just see guys staring. They're just like looking, but they don't want you to know they're looking. So you feel someone looking at you and you look over and their head goes like this. And it's like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, are you 12? Like, why don't you just say hi? You know what I mean?
I just like to make women smile wherever at the store. Hey, how are you today? I really like that. You know what I mean? And they're just like, oh, thanks. Oh, you have a beautiful smile too. Have a great day. On my way.
Yeah, exactly. And you both felt good, right? It was a good interaction.
Yeah, it makes me feel good to spark something. You know, you never know what battles somebody's going through. So that could be a game changer. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to know about it. Just plant that seed. Hey, you're loved. Be kind.
Yeah, facts right there. This is the good thing to remember today. Well, thank you guys.
Water and dating.
Yes.
Yeah, water.
Right?
Yes, thank you, Tracy. Yeah, water and dating anytime. So, thank you so much, Tracy. We got to do this again, and like maybe next time we can do it in person. I'll come down and I miss your elixirs.
Let's do it. All right, love you guys.
Ooh, maybe I should come get an elixir.
Yeah, you'll never be the same again.
Yeah.
We need you to life changing. Elixir, Frank.
All right, I'm down. All right, have a good one.
Oh, okay. Wait, did I stop recording? How do I stop? Whoop.